Welcome back to our CSS discussion. We're working on the CSS framework. In the last video, we set up the framework. We downloaded just the HTML starter code. We created a style sheet, and we added some base styles for our fonts, okay, and headings and things, right? So let's talk about buttons now. So here in the page, I have a couple buttons. So I have kind of like a default button here. It's a little hard to see, but it's right there. And maybe that's a problem. That's what we're going to fix with our style sheet, right? And then I have two more buttons down here, and we'll talk about these in a minute because I want to give these a different style. So again, if I look at foundation, like imagine what I have here, this button right here is going to look like one of these. It's going to be just kind of a default color, right? And then the green and the red one are going to be this delete and this go button. So imagine the go button is green and the delete one is going to be red, okay? So we want to give someone that's using our framework, we want to give them the option to, create some buttons that are in some styles that kind of make them stand apart, right? So if they have a button that's doing a dangerous operation, we can, give them a style for this. And if they have regular buttons that can look like this, right? Okay. And then they have an alternate color too for success, right? Okay, so let's style our buttons. Actually, before we do that, I'm going to add a comment here and say, typography, right? So this is our base typography. And then now let's do another one down here and say buttons. Okay, so let's just style the button tag. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to give the button a little bit of padding. So I'll say padding is going to be, let's do like 1 rem to start with. So that's pretty big. Not bad though. Let's do this. That for some reason the text on the button always looks a little small to me because it's actually by default it's less than 1 em, like it's less than this 18. Okay, so why don't we make it the same size as the other text? I think that would look best, right? And then maybe you can remove some of the padding. So let's say font size equals 1 rem. Okay, and then maybe the padding here, I'll remove a little bit of this. Let's make it half a rem, right? And then I feel like I want to do like a little more padding on the left and right. So let's do 1 rem on the left and right, something like that, right? So that doesn't look too bad. Now let's set the background color. So here we're getting into something where we're going to reuse this color. So let's say I copy this color right here, right? Because I want the buttons to share that. So, I'll do this, right? Actually, that's the color. I want to do this as background color. Let's do background, right? Okay, so that doesn't look too bad. And then maybe, actually it looks terrible. We're going to fix it. So let's do color, and color is maybe going to be white, right? Oh, I got to have a semicolon here. So that's looking better. Could use some work. It looks a little Facebook. Maybe I got to change that blue color, right? So let's also, I kind of have this border, and it's a little hard to see there, but if I zoom in on it, do you kind of see that kind of beveled or chiseled look right there? Like that looks kind of ugly, right? Because it has like a darker border on the bottom and right, and then a lighter border on the upper left and top, right? So let's get rid of that, right? So what we'll do, maybe I'm going to just do border none. It's kind of looking a little better, right? Not too bad. Maybe a little less padding on each side. Oops, I did font size. I meant to do this one. Maybe 1 was better. Yeah, let's just go with that. Okay. So anyway, so our button is looking okay. We can add a hover state to it too. Maybe also the buttons actually come with a little bit of margin. Maybe we should remove that. There we go, right? So anyway, so there's our button, right? So our button is started. Notice though that we reused a couple colors here. So I have this white color and this blue color here, and the blue color is appearing here, and I might use this white again somewhere else. So a new feature in CSS, or I guess it's actually not even that new, but I don't see people using it a lot, is custom properties, right? And this is like a huge game changer for CSS. So what I'd like to do is introduce the idea of a custom property here. So custom properties are properties that you define. So text decoration is a property, color is a property, padding is a property, font size is a property. These are properties that are defined within CSS, so these are built in. What we want to do is define brand new property names that we invent. Okay, we're going to define them for ourselves, and we can assign them values too, and we can use those values, right? And in a lot of ways, it acts like variables, like, just like variables you use in JavaScript or some other programming language, but we can use them in CSS. Okay, so how do we use a custom property? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the top here, and I'm going to begin my custom properties like this. I'm going to do colon root. Okay, so this is a weird element, and colon root is basically the root element for your page. So it could be the body tag or the HTML tag, but this is kind of like like another way to call out the root element. And it could be any element, but it is the element that is the root, the topmost element in your structure, right? Okay. Looks a little weird, but just go with me, right? So we say root, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to define a brand new custom property here. And custom properties, the names that you invent must begin with a double hyphen. Okay, so you got to have 2 hyphens. Okay, and then you can follow it with any characters after that. Okay, so it's got to be double hyphen. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to name a color for our button background. Let's call this like color primary. Okay, and then we can say colon, and we can give it a value, and I'm going to put that RGB color here. Okay, so I've got color primary as my custom property, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to use this color, right? So I have this variable here, this custom property that has a value on it, and anything can be the value, so you can put any value here. Okay, any valid CSS value, right? So I'm going to put that there, and then instead of using the color here, I wish that thing would stop popping up, right? So instead of using the color there, I'm going to use the custom property. Now this seems a little awkward at first, but you have to say var parentheses, and in the parentheses paste your custom or use your custom property name. So in order for the color here to be that custom property value that we have to say var and the name of the custom property. So if we wanted to use that color again here as the background color for our button, we would again do var and paste our custom prime or dash color primary here. Okay. Let's take a look. So there we go. Everything looks the same, right? What if I wanted to change the color now? So now you notice I'm using this color in 2 places. I'm using it here for the links, and I'm using it here for the button background color, right? So if I decided that I wanted this color to change, then I could adjust it and change it to some color like this, and then everything on the page would change, right? Or everything that was using that custom property would change. So this is kind of a huge game changer for CSS, and the concept of making your code dry by not repeating yourself. Dry is like do not repeat yourself, right? Or don't repeat. This custom properties make that possible in CSS, right? There's other ways to do it in CSS, but this is a great new feature, okay, that makes that a lot, makes your code a lot drier, right? So my challenge to you now is to use these custom properties wherever you can. Anytime you think of something that might be good as a variable, or anytime you see a value that you're repeating, make a custom property for it. Okay, let's repeat that again. I'm gonna make another color here. I'm gonna say color. Let's do this. Let's do color background. Okay. So I'm gonna just call it BG, and I'll just make this white for now. So I've created a brand new custom property, and what I want to do is use this custom property, and maybe I want to use it as the background color for the page here. which is the default, but you'll see if I set it as the color, then I can change it later and make it kind of a global change, right? So I'll make that the background color, and then over here, when I set the color for the button right there, I'm going to also use it here. So I'll say var background color, okay? And then I've got the color here. I'm going to change that purple out. I'm not a big fan of that purple. Let's make it blue again. Let's see here. Let's make this, that doesn't look too bad. Let's go with that, right? Maybe we can make this like a little bit brighter. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Anyway, so my challenge to you is to use the custom properties wherever possible, right? So we could use it here for the padding, maybe, you know, if we found that we were using these numbers again and again. We could use it here maybe for the font size. You know, it's possible that instead of looking for this number here, we just want to find it at the top of the page. So let's do font base size. How about that, right? 18 pixels. And then I could use this value to calculate other values, right? So let's do that. So maybe I'll put this here and put the base font size there, right? Okay. So anyway, so thanks for watching, and I hope that gets you started on your custom properties and gives you some ideas on styling your framework. Okay. And then we'll continue with some more ideas in the next video.